audio, so that the people on the recording will later know. I think I know all of you, but yeah, the people outside of this meeting might want to know. Who wants to go?
Can just go next. I'm Albert. I'm a full stack developer, and I'm currently leading the tech ship together with Frederic.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Napheys, and I work on growth at OceanDAO.
Seems we dropped Frederic, so I'll go next. So I'm Laurent, working in Insights and Analytics, and I had the outreach ship in the ambassador program.
Hi, my name is Roberto, and I am with DAO, the DAO as well, and Alex, and helping out Ocean, building all the processes there. So.
Hi, this is Sheridan Johns. I'm a member of the core team at Ocean Protocol, and I cover ecosystem and collaborations for the team, and join frequently in the Captain's Lounge as well as other ambassadorship meetings.
Okay, last but not least, Frederic, do you want to introduce yourself?
He may have connectivity issue. He was off for a minute.
Yeah, I saw it. So okay, the next point on the agenda is to talk about the agenda. I mean, I sent around the invitation. So does anybody have topics to add to the agenda today? So far, we have the distribution of the budget, then the future role of the tech ship, and
yes.
project.
Frederic?
No? Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, just on the DAO and ecosystem side, we'll have some closing thoughts on the future of funding for ambassadors.
All right, then we add this to the agenda, yeah. Thank you very much. Anything else? No? Okay, then I would jump into the distribution part. I mean, I can share my screen. So yeah, Laurent, I think it was you, right? Who did again the great job here? All the information is very
yeah, I did, however, migrate only the outreach ship items. So if there are some items from the tech ship that would need to be migrated there as well, please, guys, jump in.
Yeah, there are just 2 cards that we need to migrate. We'll add them.
These 2?
Can you? Yeah, there are 2 big cards. Can you quickly drop the link in the chat to the file?
Sure.
Thank you.
Right. What does the yellow color mean, Laurent?
It means we have to talk about it.
Okay.
Inventing new colors every day.
Oh, that's okay, no problem. All right. Yeah. Should we start with this one? It's marked in yellow. It's about the quarterly ambassador keynote.
Yes, absolutely. And as you can see, my proposal here, based on our discussion in the outreach ship, is that you take over this particular task. I have failed in March, and I'm pretty confident that you will succeed in April.
Yeah, your confidence. I mean, really, I like it. Let's see. Yes, I mean, if it starts later, then it starts later. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I think 400 tokens. I don't know. I mean, this. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. But there will be.
This is not per keynote, by the way. I think this is for the entire program. So this is not just like, okay, you show up and you talk and that's 400. So this is for the year.
Yeah. I understand the whole organizational part is going to be like getting the people to know what they should talk about and organizing everything. So It's not just.
It
This is
could
the
be.
overall.
Yeah, I mean, you can design this the way you want, right? So if it's just a monologue for even just 15 minutes, that's fine. It's really a question of getting the information out to the broader audience and kind of reporting the good things that the ambassadors do in the ecosystem. So it could be super quick. It's just that we, at this very moment, we only have work sessions and we don't have times when we actually celebrate on the kind of work that we do. And I think this would be quite helpful to have. So that was the intent of this.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a very good idea, and I will organize something there. No problem.
What is the format there? Is it like a webinar or?
I would do a crowdcast. You know, this is very successful like format for this kind of things. I mean, the ambassadors can all join. The whole community can join. We can maybe even invite some ambassadors to talk, or yeah, we can show them, and so I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so the initial idea here was that we just have a place and opportunity for the projects to actually present something. And because as Laurent just mentioned, we just have working sessions and we never have the opportunity to actually show the results to a broader audience that does not care about how it is actually implemented, but want to use the solution and app.
Okay, so then we align that this is all right. So I will not mark it yellow anymore. Just like remove the mark. The next stop would be Frederic and the checking of member credentials. I think Frederic, you had something to share about this, or not?
He's having some technical difficulties.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's unfortunate. So
yeah, his network is very bad right now. He says sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So
I can provide some perspective here, because so that is in yellow because it was Gary, but Gary was constrained capacity-wise, and Frederic jumped in and did an amazing job with the last batch of new ambassadors, those that came from this Binance activity partnering with Ocean Academy. So that brought in quite a lot of attention to the program. So there were many people who showed interest to join. Even this is not fully processed yet, because we managed to process, or Frederic could talk about this better, but apparently, so there are still some people which were not recontacted because they submitted information that was not complete. So there could be some follow-ups to do there. And in fact, this is quite a big process. So 400 is what we've been using so far. If you ask me, this is more work than that, especially in the recent with the recent batch, where there has been, and Frederic can talk about this, but in my opinion, a lot of work.
Yeah, he told me he onboarded the last batch in half an hour. So, but that was just between him and me. So, like, I think we should wait until he comes back. So I will push this back. So then we can this one also, because he has the issues. And then here, okay, Sailor's Lounge for me, this and these things here. So here we reduce the amount. You can see drastically it has been reduced because the people that Ocean core team has, or the OPF has hired, some more reduce drastically the amount of time that is necessary to mod the Telegram. So that's really good. I also gave them a small introduction to the bot that is now in the channel, where you can have this exclamation mark and then commands. So they now also have a video, a recording where this is explained and how they can use it. So I think that's okay to reduce the things here from my point of view. And then Sailor's Lounge, I think that's all right. I mean, we have been, Jim has been putting those out. So there's the next, I think the next one will be next Monday. So yeah, I think that's all right. Then and this one here, this is basically it's not finished yet, Laurent, right?
Well, This is a little tricky, and in fact requires, I think, Sheridan's attention, because this is something that obviously needs to be worked together with OPF, and in particular the Markham team. And I think that Noé engaged with the team, and I'm not sure exactly how where the process stands right now. But certainly there is a need for coordination with OPF in order to integrate that page there.
Integrate means have a link pointing to that from the Ocean Protocol site, or?
No, to have a page on the OPF website.
Okay.
So at this very moment, we don't have a website, right? And maybe this is something to think about. Maybe this should be an activity. Maybe this is what Alex also has in mind in terms of how ambassadors and the DAO and the OPF work together. But at this very moment, the plan is to use the Ocean Protocol website.
Okay, well, who's the lead? So Noé's the lead on that, and I haven't heard anything other than it was being worked on, but I haven't heard anything about the need to support directly with the integration on this end. I just haven't been involved. If you'd like me to follow up and step in, then I'm glad to do that. So happy to help.
Absolutely. Okay, that's great. And so I think Noé was in contact. So that's what he told me, but I need to follow up with him to be sure. To be clear, the page is here, right? So it's a question of adding the page to the OPF website in a way, of course, that works with OPF and also with ongoing close monitoring in case of any changes or if there is anything.
Okay, I was under the impression that it would work maybe similar to how Ocean Academy works, so that it would be its own kind of entity, and that it would be managed and updated by the ambassadors who created it and would populate it. But certainly in that construct, there would just be something from our site that would point to it, right?
Could be really, like it's flexible. It's just that, and maybe this is another task, right? To figure this out. It's just that I know Noé has been putting some efforts there in getting all these people to submit their profile, to work on a mock-up page, which is functional as we speak, and it's a little bit frustrating, I believe, that this is now stuck in terms of process just because of the implementation. So my recommendation here...
The easiest way, sorry to interrupt, but I'd say the easiest way is just to point to the site if it's on its own, if it doesn't have to be integrated as a page of the official Ocean Protocol webpage. That's the easiest way, just like we do with Ocean Academy. Right, it's not part of Ocean Protocol.
Understand, and so maybe this is then a new task that we have to take, and we have to pull a website and just populate the ambassadors page there. Yeah.
So should we make a continuation here in April for the same task, or you want to have a different one?
I think it should be another activity. It could be also led by Noé. We'll have to discuss how this can get organized. So as you prefer.
I mean, I don't mind. We have a lot of budget here, so today we would discuss it. So if we would add some budget here to continue with that, I don't think it would be such a problem from my point of view.
Let's do this then, because if there is like hosting also and server management, this is.
Should we do another 250, or is this not enough?
It's difficult to say. Placeholder just the same, and if less is required, we can always update.
Okay. Regarding this, you think it should be paid out with Ocean or with Ocean directly? I'm not sure, Sheridan, how the status is regarding this, the M-Ocean payout.
So the status is that M-Ocean is possible for this round. And yeah, then obviously would need for individuals to get their accounts and addresses, but it would be possible.
I think normally a normal ERC20 address should be fine, right? To also work with.
Yeah, no, that's fine, but I'd need it. For example, I don't have Napheys.
That's true. Yes,
I
can make another mail, introduction.
And we've been holding off on adding them here onto this document just because of personal preference.
I will make an introduction mail like with Jim. I think that worked out fine.
Yeah, and maybe you'll just have to kind of make a note on which introductions you have to make because there may be some further on down the list as well. But maybe it's all for next month. I don't know, but that's what would be needed. But it is possible. Long and the short, M-Ocean would be able to be used as a reward.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so like the column that we are talking about right now is also the current rewards. This is for this round, and we still have the old ones which were not paid out.
Correct.
Then we could then also process all of them together. And
Correct.
then Adan, you have Adan's wallet already, Sheridan, or not?
I don't believe so. Let me. I mean, I can.
No, I think there was never an introduction. So
yeah,
I will do that as well. No problem. Okay, so then this one we also. I will talk also then to Noe if this is okay for him, and I also will ask Jim if M-Ocean are also fine, but I don't think that there's too much of a problem in this direction. But I will come back to you.
Yeah, I've already dropped a message to Noe that it would be M-Ocean. He's certainly savvy enough there to be able to handle these M-Oceans.
Right. Okay, then we have two more yellow topics about Adan. Unfortunately, he's not here today.
Yeah, but we had, so on the branding, in fact, we had a chat recently with Monica. So the Markham team is indeed coming with some new branding for Ocean. And Adam is actually starting the work later this week on this. So this was not March, this was not April, but that's going to be done by May.
So should we move this allocation then over here?
Yes. Absolutely.
And the Twitter presence, but the Twitter presence was created already, right?
Twitter presence. Well, okay. So right now there is, So this one is tricky because there was the creation of it and there was some form of logo created, but we also need some ongoing support to handle Twitter. And we had the start team with the so this is here. Sorry. So this was the creation of the Twitter. And so that one, then if it's just the creation, for me, it's not 100% delivered versus the what we were planning. So I think that it shouldn't necessarily be 400, but a little less because it was just the creation of that particular logo and the channel and no animation. Whereas we were hoping to have some tweets and communication there.
Okay. Yeah, okay, then we do it like this.
Yeah, in case, and sorry, because Adam is not here, but I'm sure he will agree, and in case we'll get back.
Sure. Okay, then we have the new topics from the outreach program. I think
yes.
For me, they all look fine for me. I mean, it's a conservative pricing, so I don't see so many issues here.
Yes, that was the intent. So this is part of a new strategy that we're testing now with Adam and with the outreach ship. We want to have smaller tasks, but we want to have more of them because we found that it's difficult for new ambassadors to really take on ambitious projects and spend a lot of time. Whereas it's much more manageable to sign up for, just a few things, which are helpful for Ocean and the community. yeah, therefore we modified a little bit the principle there, and quite a few people then volunteered on some of these smaller tasks, like helping to curate the local communities in the different languages that are not covered by the OPF, translating some material into their country languages. That is also extending the reach, and that's helpful. So there is a bit of budget for these activities. So that's why there are quite a few of these now.
In total, it's like 1,400 tokens. I think it's good to bring in new people and give them also something that where they are rewarded. I think that's a good idea, from my point of view. How does the rest of the meeting think about this? About these tasks here?
I think it's a great approach to have more people involved, all for that. And yeah, that would be it from my side.
Yeah, also from my side, it sounds like a good idea to get more people involved. I'm also thinking about how we could adopt a similar strategy for the tech ship, but yeah, we will talk about this in a second, because yeah, right now I think for the tech ship it's the opposite, that we rather need bigger tasks where people can get involved than all these small tasks. But for the outreach ship, this might be a very good approach. So happy to test.
Awesome.
Okay, then we come to the project tracker. So this is Project Pearl. I mean, it's going to bridge a little bit into also what we were talking about, or what we will talk about later. But for the marketing part, is this still up to date here? Is this okay for March, or do we have to adapt something here?
No, for March, this is what we agreed on, so this is completely okay. What we just did, our repositories are now completely open source, so everybody can have a look. The tech is ready, so what we're working on next is actually to meet with Alex and Roberto to discuss how we can integrate the DAO proposals into Ocean Pearl, and so that we can already start to use this. Probably not for the very next round, because this is a little too quick, but the latest for the round in June. But the webpage is already running. We did a silent launch, so we delivered what we promised. But there is still a lot. Excuse me? Yeah, you can just look for oceanpearl.io. I don't know which branch is actually deployed right now, but yeah, it's right now just filled with mock-up data and still a few things that we need to remove, and also a lot of branches that we still need to merge in. But yeah, it's up there, and yeah, we are looking forward to actually get this thing to the community soon then. And this is also what we will focus on next.
Okay, then regarding the management part, I think that's, I mean, I don't know if we have to talk deeply about this. I think it's all right. We will have to, now the question is, like, with Frederic taking over and Gary fading out, how are we going to do this about, you know, like for March? I think that they probably can arrange this in between each other, from my point of view, or do we have to...
Exactly. Yes. No, I think that's something that we can do between each other. So nothing that we need to do here in the background.
But so Gary, maybe we just clarify that, because that'll go lost here. So, but Gary was for, if you go up, Robin, February, it's definitely Gary. And then March, I don't know.
Yeah, so we basically have to take those because those were, so we have to make something like Gary's payouts.
Okay. Could I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Go up and take line 7.
Yeah.
And duplicate it and add another, make the same thing, just copy it, make the same line underneath it, and then put Gary's name, and then just fill him in for March or February, right? Just yeah, exactly. And then put Gary there, yeah. Make sure it's not yellow, and then fill in. It's going to be the exact same task, but we're just going to have different places on the calendar that we're, right?
Hey guys, I'm back. Sorry for the inconvenience. I have a stable connection now, so if you have questions about the process, I can answer them.
Yeah, so the question was like, use these 400 here for this task. Do you think that is still okay to take 400, or what is your opinion about this? This is for the check-in of member credentials.
Yeah, so it depends how many Binance-like activities we have in the future. So the process itself is a nightmare. It's all manual work, and you can't automate or optimize it. So most of this was done by Gary now, so I only had to do the very last step, which is granting privileges for the Discord channels. This was, let's say, less than an hour of work, but the process itself is very time consuming because we have to screen all applications, and we had lots of submissions from people that applied because they thought it's mandatory to qualify for a Binance reward. So we had to filter them out and check all profiles and check all Discord usernames and so on. So if we have similar activities in the future, I think that's justified.
So then we should split the March rewards. How much do you want? Like 50, or how much do you think is appropriate?
I think 25% is appropriate.
All right, then we did it like this already. So then we will keep the 400 for now. I mean, I don't think next month will be another Binance month, but we can also determine this then in May, in the next.
There is, yeah. So just also to clarify on this, there was, and I'm not sure if it was a single task or something else, but there has been a lot of work going in the background with Gary, with Sheridan on setting up a process. And I don't think we have a winning process at this very moment. So if we would need to even increase this allocation and have something that can make sense for everybody, and that's not really killing entire days of sorting through applications, that time would be very well spent, right? So perhaps the allocation could also cover, if there are not 1,000 new people knocking on the door, to work on the processes and the flow of these new ambassadors.
Do you think, Frederic, this would be an option for you?
Yes, sure. Yeah.
Right. Okay, then we keep it like this, and we can still come back to that next month in the next meeting. And then the next question would be here about the administration of Discord. So for March, did you have, you're taking over this from Gary now. So the question is like, how much time did you spend? How much time do you think Gary spent? So yeah, if you're jumping in now, then I don't think necessarily you did it for the whole month. So here there should also be a split, in my opinion.
Yeah, there should be a split. Yes. I was online in March 24/7. I don't know really how much time I spent, but this is totally fine for me.
Okay, so then we would do something like 100, 200 or something like this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question here also about this administration is like, if there's other people working, like contributing as administrators, then of course, then somehow also these tokens have to be shared with them. So you're now the owner. I mean, same as I'm the owner here. So if there are other people helping, then you're also kind of this group of people working on the task have to coordinate amongst themselves how they're going to distribute the tokens. I mean, the same would be here in the Sailors Lounge or any other task where multiple people are involved. We only have the owners here in the columns. They're going to receive the tokens, and fortunately, in Polygon, it will be very easy to send them over to somebody else. But we marked the rewards also as the ones that will be paid also with Ocean. Is this okay for you, Frederic?
Yeah, sure, it's fine.
All right. Okay, then a next stop would be here. So these are like, this is still from February. So okay. So is this from you, Laurent? These two?
No, I think this was added because weren't these the wires that needed to go before the integration with Polygon because there were new ambassadors like Denko,
Okay.
for example. It made sense that he would get the reward because, you know, like new ambassadors having to wait for 3 months
Yeah.
felt a little strange. So that's why we processed this a little quicker here. But I'm not the one who added those lines.
Okay, I think then it was probably Sheridan, and these were already paid out as far as I know. Frederic, Sheridan?
Yes, I received 250. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, then it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then I think we kind of finished here with our budgeting part.
Not yet. There's also line 34, but I could not add, so I just added this a comment. There he is. So there are basically three. Yeah, there are 3 comments in total, actually.
I'm having fun. My God. I'm going to write it out soon. These will be for March or for April?
This is for April. So yeah, the last point is actually creating a business plan for Ocean Pearl.
Okay. So, and how here? Who is?
Yeah, you can just add me as the owner. Yeah, I'll redistribute the rewards then.
This will be then until 17th.
Yeah.
And you, how much was it here? This was
for the ongoing, it was 2,000, and for the business plan was 600. And for the incubator, like we have not put a reward at all.
Then you don't have to list it here if there's no reward.
Okay, I thought, yeah, we still have to list it. Sorry then.
No, if there's no reward, we don't have to keep it in this list.
We don't have to list it, but we could talk about this. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point I wanted to come to now. I mean, these are our next points on the agenda. So, but then we can, like, for me, this amounts. Now we're going a little bit over the 6,000 budget, but as we have discussed it last time, I think that's also fine. So, I mean, this is less than this. So I think from this point of view, together, these are like a little bit similar to this price. So from my point of view, it's all right. Mm-hmm. Does anyone object to this amount? No? Okay,
no,
then.
From the foundation side, that's fine.
Then I would switch back now out of the spreadsheet, and we can talk about the next topic. So the next topic on my list is like the future role of the tech shift. Probably also ties in a little bit with Project Pearl.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe Albert, you want to explain a little bit what the plan is?
Yeah, definitely. So what we actually did in the last 2 months with the tech ship was finding actually people who want to contribute and who can contribute in a technical manner. And as we know, like in the blockchain ecosystem, it's very difficult to attract developers because there are so many other blockchains that they're trying to survive right now. And what they do is they lure developers with a lot of money or with very exciting tech or with an interesting vision. And we actually need to compete with them. And it's difficult to compete with them if we don't have a particular project that we're working on. Therefore, we started with Ocean Pearl. Ocean Pearl now contains, or well, not contains, but the team of Ocean Pearl is 2 full stack developers and 1 front end and designer, and me as the lead developer and project management, and also Frederic joined us as project management, as well as another who will actually replace me as project management so that I can focus on lead development. But if we would just do this, like building this project tracker, building Ocean Pearl, I think we would waste a lot of the potential, because what we have at the tech ship is different skill sets that we could utilize actually to identify problems and then provide a tech solution to these problems that are very specific to the ocean ecosystem to actually help it grow. And therefore, we suggest that we actually position ourselves as an incubator. Also, if you look at the history of the members, for example, me, that we have in the ocean ecosystem, I'm already involved in very different projects, so I have quite some experience. Also, our new member, Matthias Krüger, who joined us, has an MBA in business development, so he also has experience in this field. And Frederic, as the third core member, let's call it, for the Ocean Tech Ship, has this great knowledge of the tech. And what we would like to do is actually, identify a problem and then find new developers or even people that are already in the ecosystem and help them create a business in the end. Or in the best case, maybe it's also just a project that is self-sustainable. But this is what we think we can provide with our expertise. And the very next task after we manage to actually make Ocean Pearl independent, financially independent, would be an idea that we discussed briefly with Bruce, that certified developer program for the ocean ecosystem is quite useful and reasonable to be developed next, especially with the upcoming computer data release. And we feel like the Ocean Tech Ship is like the ideal place to create such a program, and without getting lost in just doing this project. So again, we will try to find people who actually own this project in the long run and help them to create their own business. And this is how we would like to explore with the Tech Ship, because otherwise we feel like there is no actual reason for the tech ship to exist, at least none that we see or that we've seen in the last 2 months.
I mean, one of the big ideas was in the past that the tech ship would also do integrations with other projects and so on. But yeah, I'm not sure if this still is so much in focus.
This is very difficult in terms of timings, because I spend a lot of time just talking to people without getting anything done. And integration work is a lot of communication, actually. And for that, we would need many more people. And then again, we have this management problem. So I think with the limited resources that we have, it's easier to actually focus on single projects and try to help them succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but like if you're talking about a certificate, and then this will also include something like a little bit going into the direction of what Ocean Academy does, and I mean also like it also has something to do with outreach. So, Laurent, what do you think about having the tech ship going into this direction?
You know, I first of all, I see that Ocean Academy has a huge success just because of that. There were some new people coming, they were eager to contribute, they wanted to join something big, and the Academy was there looking for people, and then there was a very natural fit. And people of all different skill sets joined that project because it was kind of there, initiated by ambassadors. So I definitely see the value of having ambassadors connect and facilitate connections and kind of projects creations and stuff like that. Calling it an incubator, I think, is tricky. So perhaps it's a question of how we frame this, because there is the shipyard that is, in my opinion, the incubator. I think it's the stage even before that. It's like getting teams together, finding common projects, and getting that energy of new ambassadors channeled into some projects that are meaningful for Ocean Protocol, and keeping the momentum, because we've seen, right, when new ambassadors come and they want to do things and there isn't much, or it's difficult to follow up, or things are unclear, or things look too big, or then you may lose the engagement, and it's super difficult to build back. So when people are here engaged and willing to do things, I think we need to provide a way for them to do so. So that's why we tried with these smaller tasks in the outreach program. But in the tech ship, it would make a lot of sense to have like bigger projects where people can also provide small tasks or bigger tasks if they want to, or bigger activities. But then where there is some form of a vision of building something for Ocean. I think it makes a lot of sense personally.
So from my personal experience, I mean, maybe Sheridan, you can correct me, but I think the Ocean Shipyard project is not for people that come together and just have now initial idea that they might want to build something. I think this is more for teams that have already formed and are building on something. So that's my personal understanding. I mean, I joined as a team that was just finding itself. So I would personally recommend people to have something going already if they join the shipyard, because just like that just makes more sense from my point of view.
Yeah, no, that is correct, Robin. I mean, the idea is really to help, let's say, semi-mature, or at least projects that have already begun to experiment with or work with Ocean. They have a concrete idea. Ideally, they already have some type of working demo or an MVP, something that's actually exists that you can point to, and then the program was designed to help get more momentum going and support with the next steps. But back to the back to Albert's point. I mean, maybe I think there's, in my opinion, there's value in having the tech ship as such. Maybe it is worthwhile revisiting its mandate, and if it was initially intended to help support with integrations, and up until now we haven't seen that be the case, then we should certainly re-examine that. I think to Laurent's point, the fact that projects such as Academy did come out of the ambassador program, there should be some way to assess, connect, and support similar projects. And in the outreach, obviously, that's not the focus at all. So I think that the idea behind the tech ship was to initiate and support and guide those type of projects so that they will make it out of the starting blocks. So maybe it's just a question of revisiting the mandate, and I agree that calling it an incubator could be a little bit tricky. There's also OceanDAO. One shouldn't forget. I mean, one can also go and propose projects that the community obviously will curate. So then there might also be a little bit of a overlap, if not confusion, as to where I should go with this idea of mine.
So for me, this shows like different stages for projects. if you are so motivated that you want to become an ambassador and you then want to start a project, you go to the tech ship for the initial phase to find like-minded people to pitch your idea, to get something going. And then if you're successful and you basically graduated from the tech ship, that what Project Pearl is doing right now, that you have a business plan and you have your product, then you can move either to the shipyard or to the OceanDAO, to continue your growth, until you become profitable. So from my point of view, it might not necessarily be called an incubator, but it could also be called an incubator. I don't know how if there's a correct term for very, very early stage ideas and projects that are then helped by another organization.
Front end of innovation.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I mean, this is mainly a wording issue, let's call it, where I see the tech ship as well in difference to the shipyard program and also the OceanDAO. We are actively searching and looking and defining problems that are in the ocean ecosystem and trying to find a team to actually provide a solution to that. And we take or use, of course, the shipyard program and also the OceanDAO program to actually get these projects funded in the long run. So I just think of us as a task force that solves actually problems that should be rather solved by the community and not by the OPF.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, project tracking, like we did with Ocean Pearl.
Yep.
But I mean, it also has some appeal towards the decentralized point of view, that you then also help them to spin off to be sustainable in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
They are not
Absolutely,
always.
yeah.
They are not still always depending on the tech ship anymore. So I like this whole package together. So I think it's a good idea.
Another thoughts on the tech ship. So incubating new projects and getting team to meet and get started is amazing. In terms of Ocean Protocol core development, isn't there a big need from the OPF team, the technical team, to get some help and external feedback and testers and contributors also to the code? Because that could be also a way to get new ambassadors who are technically savvy to engage and be proud also of their contributions in the Ocean Protocol ecosystem. Mm-hmm. Just food for thoughts, or a naive comment, maybe.
Maybe I can jump in on here. I've been discussing various things because, to your point, Laurent, if you were to look at the OceanDAO funding, we only have one core proposal that was funded, and that was for improving documentation throughout the tech stack. The core team is kind of self-assembling and building a lot of momentum to drive things forward. This is something that is in their roadmap, but because of the way that the team is forming and that way that where we are in terms of the timeline, there's still a lot of identifying how the core team should be engineering and architecting. But I'm talking with Trent and with Alex Napheys as well. We're all discussing very closely to kind of identify what opportunities there are, and if down the line the core team is going to be delegating things, or if we can signal what could be built, is there a subset of problems that we could start earlier? So it's an ongoing process to identify those opportunities.
Understand.
Okay, but I mean, yeah, then we can continue with the start of a next or this project, and then maybe another one. And yeah, if the core team identifies points where the tech ship can help, then yeah, this would also be.
If I'm not mistaken, but I believe Alex Cosero joins the tech ship. Sinks.
Yeah. He's there on almost a bi-weekly basis, and what we do is that he gives us insight into the current development. But so far there was nothing raised that as the tech ship could help somewhere. But that's maybe something that we can identify through some discussions with you, Roberto and Alex, C and N, and maybe also Manano or so. But yeah, that's part of what the tech ship should do and will do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
participate in these discussions.
That's very well placed with him, Alex Cosero. I mean, as well as the others you mentioned, but he certainly has the most deepest insight on that. And in terms of long-term goals with respect to external maintainers as well, maybe those could start those relationships to be nurtured in the tech ship, and then they go on to perform those and get funded also to do those through the OceanDAO, for example. But I think that interface between the tech ship and engineering and product, and to have, like Laurent said, you guys support them in various tasks that could make the ambassadors also, feel very engaged and rewarded in their contributions. That to me is kind of how the tech ship could really continue to play a role.
Okay, but I think these two topics are not mutually exclusive. I think that both things can be followed by the tech ship.
Sure.
So yeah. So then, from my point of view, I think it's a great idea that you want to pivot a little bit with the tech ship. How should we make a vote on that? I don't think that we necessarily have to make a vote to decide what the tech ship does. I think the tech ship can decide this on its own. But we have now discussed it, and yeah, I think everyone kind of agrees that this is a good idea. Or are there votes against it, or somebody says, okay,
are there any objections?
Exactly, objects. With your hammer.
Yes.
No objections. Awesome. Yeah, you're kind of running out of time, but Alex and Roberto, you wanted to share something about the future funding of the ambassador program. So I think this would be now the next point on the agenda.
Alex, do you want to lead that?
Hello, perfect. Yeah. So let me just get started here. So yeah, with regard to the future funding, and we can actually pull up the, I can share my screen actually. I'll pull up the slides from, or rather the spreadsheet from today's kind of funding session. Present now. Oops, not that. I will not be presenting that. I will be presenting this. Thank you for your patience. Here we go. So you should be able to see the Ocean Ambassadors budget sheet, right? Correct. Yeah. So yeah. So today we kind of have this manual process, right, of pointing, funding, and then with Sheridan releasing the funds from the ecosystem wallet. So I am sharing today after much collaboration with the ecosystem team, with Roberto and also Trent, that we feel it is the time in the Ocean Ambassadors timeline to transition the Ocean Ambassadors funding rather from the ecosystem wallet to the DAO. And this decision, we wanted to present to you today, and then also with the, what does that mean and kind of how that gets executed. So as you know, the OceanDAO funding is monthly. So this would not be for OceanDAO round 5, which is set to close on May 1st. This would be starting for OceanDAO round 6, set to close June 1st. So on this timeline, we see here, how does this kind of roll into, actual action dates and action items? So this May 21st funding, this is something to work with you guys on. I think that this would now get moved to, instead of being May 21st, this would be June 1st, and kind of transitioning to round 6 then. So this column H in this sheet would be kind of June 1st, and transitioning to DAO funding there. So with round 6, so there are going to be some iterations to OceanDAO, just like how in round 5 for this funding, for this DAO round, we've introduced granular voting and funding via request and some earmarking. There's future iterations to OceanDAO coming down the pipeline for round 6. And one of those is transitioning ambassadors to the DAO. And then one of the other iterations, and this is the first time this has been publicly announced, will be the introduction of the ability to set how much funding you're requesting. So instead of just the default 10K Ocean, with this kind of granular voting mechanism introduced in round 5, in round 6, we're going to be introducing that proposers can actually come in and say, oh, we want 4K, we want 6K, we want 10K, or we want 15K. And this will have a lot more clarity on how this will be rolled out once we see how granular voting, the results of granular voting are implemented in round 5. So we'll have a lot more to share when it comes to setting specific funding amounts for round 6 after we see the results from round 5. But those are the 2 main points that I wanted to share today. So for round 6, looking to transition the ocean ambassadors in, and the ability to set your, how much you would want funding for instead of the default 10K. So if ocean ambassadors scales up, it could go up from the 6K amount, and then if you want it just based off the current activities, it could stay at 6K. Just the ball is in your court. So what does this mean for implementation? This means that instead of funding coming from Sheridan and the ecosystem wallet, this would mean that ocean ambassadors would request a let me get the wording on this exactly correct. Ocean ambassadors would request as a program for all existing ships under one proposal for the DAO, and then they would receive that funding. So those funds could arrive at a multi-sig. It kind of once the funds hit the ambassadors, now the ball would be in your court, so to speak, on how you want to distribute it, how you want to manage it. What's the custody function of that recipient wallet from the DAO, kind of in your court. So I'll pause there, and then I have one other bullet point to share after this. So just kind of comments and questions or feedback.
So we were talking about this already when we introduced the new version of the ambassador program, because we were thinking, okay, in the future we will have to get funding from the DAO, but the DAO funding, of course, is not a guarantee. So will there still be earmarking in round 6? So is this something that also happens? I think that our program, the ambassador program, would be probably qualifying for such an earmarking, because we're doing a lot of outreach and also developer, onboarding via the tech ship now with the front end for developers. So yeah, would this be an option? Because we were thinking, okay, we have to now make a treasury, we have to save up for the month when we don't get funding, to continue with the work. And so these were our big doubts about it. But other than that, I think it sounds really good to do it like this, because yeah, it's then more openly seen, and also then we can then also celebrate our winnings each time when we make a proposal, because we then can say, okay, this is what we did last month, and that's what we're asking for funding for in the next month. So I think that also goes a little bit with not just having these work sessions, because then the public and the whole community will see what's going on. Yeah.
Really well said, and the point is duly noted. With OceanDAO, there is the potential to not receive funding, and with how paramount the ambassadors program is in the ecosystem and how many community members it touches, while it's not guaranteed, I definitely have confidence. If Ocean Ambassadors made a proposal and the ability to, with the granular voting, to vote on multiple proposals now, you're not, I could vote for a data union, I could vote for ambassador, so you're not shoehorned in to just vote for one. So I think the combination of that, while it's not a guarantee, I definitely give it more confidence that, hey, you guys will be able to get some more votes that way. And with regard to the earmarking, we really are gauging the earmarcation on a rolling basis based off of what are we really trying to incentivize for in the ecosystem currently. So right now, we really are trying to incentivize community and developer outreach, just because that's been an under proposed category in the DAO. And as that evolves, we would make that earmark decision kind of on a rolling basis. So I can give a tentative probably on we'll have earmarking in the future, and to what extent I'll hold off on giving exacts. But yeah, that hopefully answers some questions. But I definitely have confidence in the ambassadors program.
Okay, so we try it out. Yeah, that's just try and error. I mean, if you don't get funding for 1 month, then yeah, we'll have to see. What the
maybe sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Roberto. Sorry.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, I just thought I would mention, right, that again, going back to what Alex was saying, by changing the budget or the proposal size, you guys may be able to say, you know, this is how much we need for the next 3 months. We don't want to work on monthly. We want to work on quarterly, or whatever it is that suits you best. The other point that I think this goes back to when we're talking about the DAO is how do we increase not only discovery and support, but really define the role of TechShip ambassadors and help to identify the ROI, positive nature, and all of and how it fits as a core component of the ecosystem. And by having it kind of in this arena with everybody else, it just forces us to be even more intentional with the role and the metrics and how we are applying resources across the ambassador program. And personally, as a side note, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about the ambassador program and all of the processes that are going on internally and with the DAO to help identify how we can really leverage all the great work that you guys are doing and multiply all of the ways that these mechanisms can work off of each other. So I personally have a lot of big ambitions for the ambassador program and what they can do in addition to the TechShip. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that's going to evolve in the near future.
Really well said, Roberto. And I would just for your funding timeline back on that Ocean Ambassadors budget spreadsheet, you know, just being cognizant now instead of on, you know, after April 21st, after today, you know, that May 21st kind of funding line will now be, you know, June. It will be the funding budget sheet will now be in line with the DAO funds released timeline.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, we can change this dynamically. We just chose this date because that's when our captain's launch is happening. So it's not like something that really is necessary on this date. So we can shift it a bit. That doesn't make such a big difference for us. So that's okay.
Awesome. And then yeah, so this is great, and I'm super excited that everyone's also kind of excited about this transition. And I'll go ahead and share my window one more time. Just this is not a DAO kind of iteration or a DAO charter, so to say. This is more a suggestion for tooling to look at for the ambassador program. So again, like once the funds are an ambassador, in the ambassadors, it's totally up to you how you want to coordinate that funding, use multi-sig, how you want to distribute it. So we've been looking at this tool called Coordinape out of the, excuse my, yeah, some noise in the background here. But so there's this tool called Coordinape, which you're able to, it solves the problem of what we were going through earlier with your budget of, hey, who gets what, which funding. So, hey, I did 10 hours on Telegram this week. I did 15 hours on community management on Discord. So Coordinape, you'll actually be able to get all your ambassadors in a graph, and you are awarded 100 points, and you allocate points pro rata each person to who did what. So at the end of an epoch, you're able to see how much weight everyone did in an epoch, and then you coordinate that weight with you know, how much funding you have. So we think this is a really interesting tool that the ambassadors could leverage to more automate this this contribution process, like who did what within the ambassadors program, from a more distributed standpoint. So all the ambassadors or all the decision makers, get these 100 points. They say who got what, and you're actually able to see like a graph. So, they get 10 points. These people each got like 10 points or something, and that's how much funding they would get. But everyone is awarded points. So Robin would have 100 points. Albert would have 100 points. So everyone would then distribute those points up, right? And this comes out of the Wi-Fi ecosystem. So this is what they're doing in Yearn to distribute their funding. Hopefully this helps.
Does it work with Polygon, or is it on the Ethereum mainnet?
So this is actually off-chain. This is a kind of just an accounting system to understand how to kind of who did what work in an arbitrary epoch in a distributed system, which is kind of and then the settlement feature would just be, once you have these weights at the end, then it's kind of this manual process of you have your treasury, and then this is just an accounting system to match up with an accounting system to match up with your treasury on who did what. And while ambassadors maybe who's getting funding could be a short list now, as it scales up, if it's only 5 people getting funding, then this is kind of over engineered. But as ambassador scales, if it's 50 people getting funding, this might be an interesting solution once you've transitioned out of transitioned into getting funded by the DAO.
So the ship, Laurent and Albert, you did not comment so far on the change to the OceanDAO. What do you think about this?
Yeah, so personally, I think this is inevitable. So of course, we were planning for it. We were thinking about this, and I think the approach that you are bringing on the table makes a lot of sense. And so the way I see it is that if now the ambassador is totally out there competing with all these other projects, probably we would have flexibility on the way we want to organize our proposals. So we could have actually either very small proposals just for all these small tasks, right? Maybe just, like writing articles and stuff like that, or translating, or we could bundle either over multiple months or take even more ambitious projects, like incubating one particular ambassador-based new project. But so all I want to say is that if this is the way forward, I think we would then have a lot of flexibility in organizing our own work and the project proposals through the DAO. So we would be treated essentially just like any other project, and which is fine and fair, right, to the community and all other people working in the ecosystem. And at the same time, that means that we would have, I would say, 100% flexibility in the way we want to design the proposals that are run through the DAO. So that's my kind of immediate reaction to this point. I must admit, I was hoping that in the DAO, and maybe this is stuff that you're indeed thinking about as well, there would be some space for recurring activities, which are typically the tedious ones that every project kind of has to have, and that are not necessarily best tackled through DAO funding, which would probably reward mostly the kind of bigger vision, bigger impact kind of projects, and not necessarily the nitty-gritty work that's required to get a community going. So it's just like my little warning here. So I thought perhaps that would come as a standalone pot, which would be then either taken by ambassadors or by other people. But that's certainly a set of kind of activities that are required, and that will need careful consideration, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Really well put. And perhaps some of the recurring tasks, while funding is from the DAO, perhaps some of these ongoing and recurring in that taxonomy maybe can come from, the ambassador's grant, like under that. So perhaps that grant amount then, instead of being 6K, can, go up a bit. And that can be that stream of funding, just a little lower level in the taxonomy, but duly noted. And to bootstrap a ecosystem, kind of this ongoing work is really necessary. So so well put.
And I think a project like OceanPearl will actually help with the friction that we have right now, that you need to write this proposal on the forum, and which might make more difficult to have quite individual proposals that ask for different requirements. That's definitely something that we should explore further to automate a lot of things and also provide interfaces for people. And I mainly agree with the points that Laurent just raised. What I'm a little more interested about is especially the process, how these changes are introduced. Is there a plan to make them more transparent? Because we were a little surprised by the changes that came out last week, so that we can, at least as the ambassadors, contribute to upcoming changes. So what's the current status here?
Great question. A published roadmap is what I'm hearing and how that translates. And the roadmap for OceanDAO, a lot of the subsequent iterations are built off the results of kind of the first iterations. So, if granular voting is a success, then we can introduce variable amount in funding from the DAO. But if granular voting is a total flop, then perhaps going back to ballot style might be the move. So a lot of these roadmap decisions are kind of built on the backbone of the earlier kind of decisions. So there probably is a way just to straightforward and simply communicate this. So duly noted, and we'll work with Roberto on what the appropriate kind of roadmap outlay should be here.
Yeah, if I could, I definitely share your sentiment, Albert. I think everybody does as well. I think just in general, what I've walked away in the last week is increasing transparency on a lot more parts that are happening behind doors. So just that we can involve the community more, provide as much time as possible, and make sure that we are in consideration of impact, such as yourselves, and maybe now you guys having to propose something through the DAO. And similarly, other decisions that we were making that might impact other teams like Delta DAO. So we just, again, want to make sure that we are providing as much visibility and transparency as possible to everybody, and with enough timeline that we can all prepare ahead. With the things that Alex mentioned just now, which is it's a bit of a dynamic process, right? We're learning as we go and evolving.
Thanks, Roberto. And we understand how important this transparency is because of, not only growing the funnel and getting more projects building in the Ocean ecosystem, but those who are already in the OceanDAO as transitioning into becoming really, quite frankly, reliant on that DAO funding is so important to be able for them to continue to grow. So that transparency is, utterly important.
Yeah, I mean, transparency regarding the tech is now already somehow available, because a lot of people are now following the GitHub repositories, and they're checking out if there's some push. You always get a notification. So I'm always following what the team is doing. Maybe if you put this discussion somehow on GitHub maybe in the OceanDAO wiki, then also we can follow this very easily. And then also it's an open system. So if somebody then whether it's Albert or it's me or somebody else, they can also bring in their points, like make arguments, and then you can see what the community thinks about it. Maybe that would be a way that would be low amount of effort to do, but I'm not sure how sensitive you think all of this information is and whether it should be out there. But yeah, if it's there in the open, then everybody can follow and also contribute. Absolutely.
And yeah, some of these kind of iterations are on a spectrum of, experimentate. Here's just something to be cognizant on the DAO, in the DAO tooling consciousness, like, hey, just keep a watermark on this. Some of it's more tangible of like, hey, let's run a side experiment to see, hey, let's actually implement this sort of thing. So there's a spectrum, but of the things that kind of are, so in this map in a more transparent way, being able to just make those designations, and also, on that fifth component of improving the DAO itself, having this kind of transparent roadmap, for comments, that could also be a way to get more proposals into the DAO around the DAO proposals, if you can openly see, what that roadmap is, because then people can be like, oh, let's make a proposal to improve the DAO on this front, or hey, they're looking to implement XYZ tool on their roadmap. Hey, I want to make a proposal to help them with that, so to speak. So, yeah, great points. Okay, yeah, I think then we now have finished our agenda. Of course, again, a lot over time. Laurent already left. So yeah, are there any other points we should discuss?
I have a couple of very small questions that if you guys can answer. Can you tell me how many people are in the ambassador program right now?
So there's a big difference between people being in the ambassador program and people being active.
Can you tell me those two numbers?
Frederic, you are onboarding the people all the time. You have some overview in this direction?
Yeah, we have 80 in total, and I think 36 new ones in this batch.
So it's 116 or?
No, 80 in total.
80 in total, okay.
Yeah.
And on that note, would it be possible, you guys have these kind of like overviews, certainly of the Ocean Academy. Is there any kind of overview of those numbers that you have, Frederic? Like that's shareable? I mean, I know there's a registration list. I have access to that as well. I'm just trying to also kind of help share that with the team internally here within the core Ocean team, and they were just curious, just like Roberto asked, and might be helpful to just, since the ambassadors have become very autonomous, which is great, and self-organizing, be also great to just help the core team understand how it's all evolving, right? And if you have any of that you could share with me, or I guess me would be a good point right now, and maybe in the future we could figure out something else. But if you have something that kind of sums all that up, as in like, just one Excel sheet or one slide or whatever. I know that you had the Ocean Academy, as I mentioned, had a nice slide for it. Maybe there's something like that for the ambassadors.
We will make this for sure in the future for our proposals to show the growth.
Yes, we don't have this yet, but we can create like a monthly report for sure, like a very brief report that shows the important numbers. Yes.
I was going to say that, Sheridan, I think that's a great idea, especially maybe we can just get a spreadsheet. I'll follow up with Frederic, Robin, you, Alex, whoever else, just so that we can just get some rough numbers right now. It doesn't have to be detailed or per month and month over month. That's much more analytics focused. But just having some numbers so that we can understand, if we were to recommend Coordinape, how many people are we seeing in the ambassador program? How many people are inside of each ship? And just kind of what that looks like. And same with Ocean Academy and any other community programs so that we have just a bit more visibility into it. I'd like to have more visibility. I have none. So that's why I'm asking these questions.
Yeah, definitely it will be part of the proposals, like, but if you want to have some numbers now, then Frederic, you can also produce some numbers now if we should deliver them as soon as possible.
Why don't I follow up with Frederic? You're on Discord, aren't you?
Yes, I am. You can write me on Discord, yes.
Right. Okay, let's follow up there. Like, it's not urgent. It just would be great to just have some numbers and understand this a little bit more what it looks like right now, and go from there.
All right, yes.
Thank you.
Were these all the questions, Roberto? I guess so. So yeah. Does anyone else have some open points? No? Okay, then I would conclude the meeting today. Thank you everyone for attending. And yeah, I think we have even news, so the people will hopefully this time watch the recording. So yeah, I will put it on YouTube soon, and then I will put it out on the channels that it's available. Yeah. All right.
Awesome. Thanks everyone.
Thank you everyone.
Thanks everyone. Have a great evening. Bye.
Have a nice evening.